It's like, how you roll?
I'm very great. I'm actually a little bit excited and nervous at the same time. I see our Ilse and Chris hitting it off tonight with the presentations, and they're like on peak form. So you either guys getting a lot of sleep or you're highly motivated.
Well, I think it's just passion, and it comes through with have the likes of Ilse and Chris in Silver Chief. It's quite easy to gain your own momentum from there. So we're in good hands, I guess.
Yeah, have you got my screen in front of you?
Yeah, it's on.
Great.
Okay,
right,
so
folks,
just let me give a bit of an introduction to Reuel Leach. For those who don't know who he is a specialist commodity trader, a professional trader, and he's been for a number of years. And of course, he specializes in commodities, which, you know, he saw an opportunity with Silver Cheap as an independent person, and he actually bought into it out of the sheer value that Silver Chief offers. So, you know, of course, based on his own expertise, we've also started to ask him on certain things that we found quite interesting. So his insights into the markets and things that have been happening has been quite interesting, especially to lay people. Like we don't really sometimes understand a lot of these things. We hear it on the news that this has fallen, that's gone, and he just adds massive value in giving us a deeper understanding. So over to you, Reuel.
Thank you, Dion. I can also sense your excitement. Sometimes you're at a loss for words and you have a little stammer here and there. I think your whole body is going like this with excitement. With your team that's grown, you never talk about your team and how big it is. So you're going to need to do that at the end. That's your responsibility. All right, so folks, this is actually part 2 of what we started already. Not that I haven't spoken before, but this week a few things happened, and you know, I do a lot of research as a trader. I mean, it's one of the best opportunities for someone that knows what they're doing, somebody that's trading, to actually sit in front of the screen and study the markets and look at what the markets are doing. And yeah, lots of things are changing all over the world. It's affecting every single person except for those who are living in deep Africa. So if you were living in the Congo, DRC, or Zambia, some of these countries, everything is normal for those people because they don't have 5G. Sorry, they don't have the coronavirus. That's you know, there's no cases reported. And some of the things that have popped up, or that subjects of tonight, is something that would normally happen in, whether it's happened in Germany, it's happened in America, it's happened in Zimbabwe, it's happened in Venezuela, and it's probably, some of this is actually going to happen, is happening already in South Africa, and we're already seeing signs of it. So I do not want to give you folks any financial advice and tell you what to do. You know, we've heard on the previous webinar that we cannot tell people what to buy and what to put their money into. But I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience, because I've been in the trading business for 5 years, and I've been in, I think if we talk about Bitcoin, everything that started with Bitcoin has become a scam, has fallen by the wayside, and everything you're investing your money in the future probably will be a scam, and what presently is also a scam. Unless you have control of your own money, you are probably part of a scam. So if you have an intelligent financial advisor, somebody that knows what they're doing, not somebody that knows what they're talking about, and they're not working for Sanlam, Old Mutual, ABSA, or any of the banks, you probably have then somebody that's educated to give you financial advice. So do your own diligence. Let's talk about price fixing versus government pegging. So living in Zimbabwe for 5 years, and Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and I spent some time in the DRC. I saw different things in different countries, and then those things, living in those countries, you start seeing things that are happening when economies fail. So nobody takes much advice from what's happening in Africa, but it's really what we need to be looking out for. And where you have companies or businesses doing price fixing, so I would say somebody like Matrix and Computer Corporation would have had the same owner. I'm just taking a wild guess now. And then they would be in competition to each other, but they would all fix the prices on certain things. In an economic crisis, the government starts pegging the prices. They start telling you, this is the price that you're going to pay for bread. So in Zimbabwe, they forced the bread's price to around 2 or 3 rand a bread. But it wasn't worth baking a bread for under 10 rand or 15 rand at the time. So people just stopped baking bread. And those who bake bread would bake it, but it would be a black market price. And so what we see already is that the prices are starting to skyrocket. I heard today that Dischem has been charged with increasing their prices drastically, but it's because of the suppliers sending, there's a demand for certain products, and as there's the demand, supply and demand, you go into the markets, the more the demand for something, the more the price goes up. So it's all about the changes that we're seeing right now, and we cannot fight those changes. Those changes are affecting all of our lives. And what's bad, it's going to be bad, is that there's certain commodities and things that we are buying that will be worth, a bread will be soon 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 120, 150 rand a bread. And that's where we get hyperinflation. And hyperinflation, I'm still, the first time I went into Zimbabwe was 2002 or 2003. And this was the note, $500 note. And you can see still a silver stripe on the note. Beautiful note, worth silver. Then 4, 5, 6 years later, we have a $10 billion note. So you can see that inflation went crazy in that country. So to such an extent that we used to carry rucksacks with the Zimbabwe notes in us to go and pay stuff. So you take a bundle of notes to go and do shopping, just to get a little plastic bag of shopping. So hyperinflation hits when an economic crisis comes. And then more money will be printed. So we heard today that the South African Reserve Bank has been told to print 500 billion rands. Out of what? Out of thin air. No, obviously there's paper and ink that gets involved, but they have to print 500 billion rand. Out of what? Out of nothing. So the more Zimbabwe printed money, the more Zambia printed money, and what you've seen on the screen is a typical Zambian scene quite a few years ago. Those are the kwachas. And the Zambian kwacha was worth virtually nothing. The guys had to take wheelbarrows to go and buy groceries. So it's a lot of worthless paper that's been printed. Then the next thing we'll see is more and more roadblocks. When people the government starts censoring what you do, where you go, then there will be more and more roadblocks and more control of how people move, just to establish control of the people. Now, what we have with COVID-19 is automatically the excuse for what's happening is there are roadblocks, there are road checks to see that people aren't moving around to combat the spread of the virus. But this might be the trigger for that very bad economic crisis that we see in all the third world countries. South Africa, in some ways, is a first world country because we have technology that's first world. But we don't have the thinking and the operations like a first world country. In a first world country, everything is efficient. So that is the very next thing is roadblocks and censorship. After that, you get unrest and possible war. So let's compare Zimbabwe to South Africa. Now, Zimbabwe, you had two factions. You had the Shanas and you had the Beles, and the Matabeles and were suppressed in 1981 when they were gassed out by the president actually had 40 or 50,000 of the Matabeles killed, and now he's president of Zimbabwe. So that's how to become a president. And then that stifled the uprising. But in South Africa, we've got so many different tribes and people that it would be difficult to actually do what they did in Zimbabwe by stifling the people to stop them from unrest. So South Africa is a country where war and civil war can break out. It's a definite. And I'm not saying this to make anybody fearful or angry or make you feel worried and have a sleepless night. This is all preparation. So as a trader, I believe in preparation. I read the markets, my friends read the markets. We have a team of people that continuously study graphs, and we knew that October last year, the market would go into recession and there would be a depression. So a recession and depression and what we call a health crisis every 100 years, 2019, 1919, 1819, 1719, every time there was a major outbreak of some major disease or sickness in the world. Every 90 years, we're on time for a major depression. And the difference between a depression and a recession, Chris showed you a graph tonight. You'll see those little gray lines. A depression is the gray line is this wide. A recession is the gray line is this wide. That's the difference. So your problem is drawn out a lot longer because it becomes complicated. What is the possible outcome of a depression? The next thing, war will come. I heard J.T. Fox interview one of the American soldiers, and he says in a very undertone that the next possibility is war. Somewhere in the world there will be wars taking place. And we need to have this in mind, that there's no surprise. You mustn't, throw your toys out the cot when it happens. You prepare your mind in ways that every day you're going to do something to take precautions, whether it's having enough food in the house, whether it's ramping up your security, or whether it's having some backup system, filling your car with fuel. All of those things are preparation for unrest or war. So let's talk a little bit about United States versus South Africa. The United States in the first place is considered as a first world country. They started many years ago with a just-in-time system. So if you had a contract and you were 10 minutes late for your delivery, you would lose your contract and someone else would be waiting in your place. So South Africa is way behind United States. The amount of entrepreneurs in United States, I believe there's a lot more entrepreneurs. But the big thing here is the US dollar versus the South African rand. The stronger your currency, the more you can call the shots in the world. So there's one of the strongest currencies in the world. Well, there are in the Middle East some very stronger currencies, but the British pound. And you can see how they're calling the shots because of economic policies and the infrastructure. So infrastructure is everything to keep a country stable. So America will be able to contain their people with uprising much easier than South Africa. banks and private institutions will be closed. So I'm actually just adding a few things into the presentation besides what I actually offered that I would talk about. In Zimbabwe, there were about 33, 35 banks at one stage, I was told, and when I left Zimbabwe, there was probably 8 or 9 banks left. So the banks will close. A lot of people I know would have taken loans during an economic crisis, turned the loans into US dollars, and if the bank falls in, you know, but at least they could turn that money into more money. Buy commodities. This is the next thing we need to start thinking of. We've been hearing about silver. Silver is the cheapest commodity to buy. It's the most accessible commodity to buy. If somebody asks you, how do I buy oil? Oil was the cheapest. It went to minus $37. It went to $0. They closed the market, the US oil. And then after they opened the market went up to $20 a barrel. So we don't have access to those unless we sign up with programs that have brokerages and stuff like that. So for us, Silver Chief or silver is one of the most amazing. I've been saving silver for probably the last 6, 7, 8 years. I've been collecting old South African silver coins. All your coins from 1977 backwards, your old 1 rand coins to 1966. All of those have 80% silver in. I've been collecting these coins. I've been buying them from people that want to sell them or that need extra cash flow. Those coins are ranging between 10 rand a coin to 30,000 rand a coin in value. So just imagine you had the right year date, somebody would pay astronomical prices for those coins. Certain groceries, when I was in Zimbabwe, oil, just cooking oil, sugar, flour, all of those things were just unknown of. It was like a precious commodity, something that people need and use all the time. And if you bought enough of that, you could actually make a business of it. So commodities, wheat, soya, all of these, maize, farmers will make a killing. And farmers will be able to get very high prices for their goods in the next while, but they will be under threat because the next thing is then the farms and the invasions will start taking place. And I'm not saying that will happen in South Africa, but we've seen signs of it. One thing I do want to mention about the silver price is a lot of people are asking, oh, but what's the price of silver? What are we paying for silver? Folks, the market that you see there, $15.10, $15.19, is paper trading. So there are people like you and me that are buying silver for ourselves. We have the silver, we've bought it, we've maybe paid $20 for a $15 market price. The guys that are trading silver on the markets are not buying silver. They're gambling, they're betting on the silver price, they're betting where it will go. So long after the world supply of silver has run out, they'll still be betting, they will still be buying and selling silver, paper silver. It's all paper silver. The gold price is all gold, it's paper gold price. So the people that own the product can buy and sell at whichever price. So the real price of silver, the real price of gold, I went onto goldandsilver.com just a few minutes ago. There are no silver eagles to buy. There's no silver eagles to buy. If you go onto the world sites that are selling silver Kruger rands, they're selling at $100 a coin for silver Kruger rand. Some of us paid 400 rand the other day. For $100 a coin. If you take it or leave it, this is black market. We are in a black market right now, 2020. We must open our eyes and see that this is happening right in front of us. Silver is showing you that our people have bought silver a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. They're smiling. If they don't mint their silver, they will get 4 times at least their value because they paid between 300 and 340 rand an ounce. And up to, it's almost 400 rand an ounce now, but you can get 1,200 rand an ounce now. That's the real world. Take it or leave it. And that's exactly what happened in Zimbabwe. So what we found in Zimbabwe was that the government started pegging their dollar to rand, dollar to US dollar price. The people knew that wasn't the real price. And the people, we started buying, we bought our dollars from the local people that had businesses. And some of them were Nigerians, some of them were Zimbabweans. And we went into the back office and he said, what's the rate today? And that was like $3,000. And then next week it was $4,000. And next was $6,000 to 1 rand. Next week was 8,000. And we just made sure we had a rucksack with to carry all this money. So the foreign control, forex control went way out of whack. So we're sitting at almost 19 rand. This morning it went to 19 rand 1, 19 rand 10. If you go and sell it to the bank, they will give you 18 rand 80. If you buy it from them, they'll sell it to you for 19 rand 20, 19 rand 30. So it's worthwhile having dollars, pounds, euros in your hand. It's worthwhile having those. That's also a commodity. So we found that we would only spend the rands that we had when we needed what we needed. We didn't go and buy a whole lot. So having your South African rand, and still I'm going to say I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you from my own experience what we did. We had to survive. We had to find a way to survive, and we had to start thinking of other people, your family, your friends, your close relatives. Who are these people that are going to need your help? You're going to find a house full of people staying with you in a short period of time. You have some choices that you're going to have to make that you never thought of making before. So supply versus demand. Paper trading is out. How's this? Think of this in the next year or two. This is reality, folks. You think you have R1 million in the bank now. That R1 million in Zimbabwe, that $1 million. I remember going into Zimbabwe that was early years, 1981. We had to pay 2 rand for 1 Zim dollar. 2003, when I went in, we got 170 Zim dollars to 1 rand. And then when I left, we were getting this for 3 rand. That's the valuation, folks. So this is the reality of the time that we are living in. The main thing that we saw about Zimbabwe when the economy started crashing was the power outages. The power outages were rampant. In fact, at one stage, the time I left in 2008, so this is 2008, so you can just imagine what it's like now. We were getting 4 hours of electricity a day if we were lucky. 4 hours a day. The next thing we'll see is water shortages. There was, in Bulawayo, we were sitting with 2 hours, if you were lucky, of water a day. And what the people used to do is that they would all open their baths and leave the plug in. And whenever the water supply was open, they filled their baths, and then obviously it was a little trickle because everyone had their taps open during that time. So this is all stuff that we need to get ourselves prepared. If you've got a borehole, you are going forward. If you've got solar panels or even a generator, you are moving forward. You are thinking of something that is worth something. So a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about is stuff that people are using for survival. Survival is what most people are thinking about now. Your survival, how you can protect your family, how you can look after your people. And guess what? I think the government is trying. I think they're doing their best. They've been forced to try. They've been forced to do things. But they're going to do it maybe the African way. They're going to do it the way Zimbabwe did it, the other countries did it, and they might take the money like our previous president did and just go and spend it and waste it on nice cars and stuff. And then the people on the floor. In our area nearby, we've been helping, and I mean, many people are involved. There's a queue of 1,000 people every morning to go and eat food. You are thinking of your next bonus or your next car or whatever. There's other people that are just looking for the next meal. And some people are willing to do terrible things for that. So every one of us need to start thinking, if I've got 10,000 or 20,000 or 100,000 in the bank, if I've got 100,000, what am I going to buy now that's going to be worth something? I'm going to buy US dollars. I'm going to buy maybe some Bitcoin in a week or two's time when the price is low again. I'm going to buy silver. And why am I going to buy silver? Because I have a physical asset. If you've given your money to some scheme or somebody that's trading for you, sorry, that guy can crash in a day. In fact, one of the schemes that started recently, I physically know the guy, and I actually know that he's lost millions already, and people are still giving him their money. Oh, I trust him because he's paying me. Guys, that's the bank. That's just another bank with a glorified name. Take your money, put it into US dollars, be in control, open yourself an altcoin trader, open yourself a Forex account, buy dollars, buy silver, buy stuff that you can physically own. You must be in ownership of your money now. I actually heard a guy, some of you know him, Maurice Landman. I've never been on his signals group because I have my own signals for Bitcoin trading. And he said to the guys at the end of one of his YouTube videos, he says, guys, I'm not going to tell you this again. Everyone buy silver. Buy silver. I'm not going to talk to you about this again. And Robert Kiyosaki says this. Mike Maloney says this, buy silver because it's so cheap. And you get the returns that you're going to get on is amazing. And the granules are the answer because there are no coins available in the world right now. They're out of stock. There's no one melting coins. There was nobody making coins, minting coins. You can actually mint your own coins. It's going to cost you anything from, depending on how many coins you're going to do at a time, between 40 Rand down to about 20 Rand a coin. And then you can resell it and make some money out of it. There's lots of opportunities now as we enter into the black market situation. Next week I'm going to talk to you about some other exciting things and help you folks. I'm just here to expand your mind, and hopefully you guys have all learned something tonight. And over to you, Leon.
Oh, thanks, Reuel. I just wanted to, because I've seen there's quite a lot of people that are on that are fairly new, that haven't actually heard you speak before. Of course, Silver Chief, our offering is that we offer silver granules. And of course, we vault them for people. We offer that service, or we can deliver. What is the benefit of, as you said, firstly, you mentioned coins, but of actual silver granules? What is their benefit on that?
Well, the problem is that everybody wants to buy, and thanks for asking that question, because you just sparked something in my mind. Everyone wants to buy something at the cheapest price. We always want to buy everything at the bargain. So if you're going to buy a silver coin now at 1,000 Rand a coin, you're just like, you don't want to buy something at the most expensive price. But if you buy granules, you're buying it at the cheapest price. You're buying because the South African Reserve Bank, for them to mint coins, they need the granules. So we also buy the granules, and the granules are the only ones available. I'm going to say the word that I shouldn't do. People are trying to get people to buy gold. Don't buy gold. It's too expensive. It's $1,600. It's going to go to $2,000, and you're like, I made 25 whatever percent. Huh? Our people bought silver 2 weeks ago. They already made 100%. Don't buy gold, it's too expensive. And anyone that's trying to sell you gold is selling you the gold price at 48,000 Rand an ounce. I can promise you, don't work the prices up. Buy silver, because if you buy silver now, when the price of gold gets to $2,000, you'll be able to buy 4 ounces of gold for every 1 ounce of silver you bought. And that is, I'm making an approximate now because that is a realistic kind of figure. In fact, if you go and take your current silver and you melted it and made it in your granules and made coins of it, you already can buy 4 times more gold than what you bought. So buy the cheap one and sell it to the most expensive one, because you're going to have, it's like we call penny stock trading. I teach my traders to buy the cheap coins, so when the Bitcoin price goes up, they have a lot more Bitcoin. And it takes a while for that to hit home, because I want to brag that I've got the more expensive one. So you don't buy coins now. Too expensive.
Okay. And Chris, got any questions?
I just want to say thank you, Reuel. Wow. Gee, I listened to every single word. I'm like riveted. Wow, the knowledge that you have. And I just want to say thank you for the time and the effort that you making available for us, the Silver Chief. It means a lot to us. And you are such a valuable asset to our team, and proud to have you on board.
Thank you, Chris. This is the first opportunity I've grabbed in years. The previous opportunity was years ago, and every single opportunity I've signed up with has folded. That's why I decided to do trading and teach people to trade, because teaching people to trade means that they're in control of their own finances. Why did I sign up with Silver Chief? Because I buy silver and it's mine. It's in a vault, but it's mine. I have a certificate, and I know the owner. I spent a week with the owner. I gave him a hard time. I gave Chris a hard time because I was staying at his place. He gave me a hard time. No, I'm joking. He actually had a good time. But you understand what I mean.
Oh, awesome. Again, Reuel, thanks for your time. And, who's ever still on for everyone that's been on the call, we'd like to thank you for your time. Please get back to the person that put you onto this call, and take serious what we've given you guys tonight. There's opportunities. There's a lot of doom and gloom, but there's also, as Reuel actually has really highlighted, there's opportunities. And even Mike Maloney, which side of the wealth transfer do you want to be on? These things are happening. We can accept them, or we can't. We don't want to accept them, but they're going to happen. So at the end of the day, it's what we choose with the information will actually either enrich us or make us poorer. In saying that, Reuel, again, thanks a lot. Thanks for everyone being on the call. Again, thanks, Chris. And everyone take care. God bless, and have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Be prepared. No surprise.